Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that are fans of MATIC, that's what we're going to be going over today. We happen to be fans of MATIC. We've actually had it in our portfolio for quite some time now. Actually, for the last 2.5 years, we've been talking about MATIC. So to see its growth during this bull market cycle is extraordinarily exciting. So what we're going to do is drop in and take a look. And here we are on the 4-hour. Now, what I want to go over first is this green widening megaphone. For those of you that are in the private group, a shout out to Baird and Jerry. I believe he was the first to find this. These widening megaphone patterns are very, very powerful, and we want to usually look for them at the end of an accumulation cycle, which is exactly what this is. And this widening megaphone pattern turned into a reaccumulation pattern. So for those of you that have been studying along with us, let's first do a little bit of a retrospective study. So if you're new to the channel, we love studying the Wyckoff phase analysis. And what we do here is create these horizontal trading ranges based off our primary support and our buying climax. So we're just going to go through and do the kind of usual dinger danger. So we're going to go, here's our buying climax by our little, and then here's our primary support. So PS and BC, primary support and buying climax. We had our first shakeout, bring us down to the bottom of the trading range here by SO. We had another test. This is called secondary test by ST. We had our first spring, which was nice to see here, this large amount of volume that came in. And after that, we started to see the first sign of strength. Now, for those of you that follow our channel frequently, you'll recognize these characteristics already, but SOS means sign of strength. And what did we do? Lo and behold, we exploded upwards into another reaccumulation cycle. And that's what's really interesting about these, is that reaccumulation happens after you have these long-term accumulation periods. So we've been making entries in MATIC for almost the last 2 years, and the same thing just repeats itself. So we can save ourselves an extra little minute or two of time here by going, well, here was the buying climax, here was our primary support, here was our first shakeout, boom. And our spring actually came really close. So you can see that these are not always defined by a time function either. They can happen very quickly. And now we're seeing our first sign of strength above $1 for MATIC, another very powerful signal. You know, this layer 2 solution for some of the scaling problems Ethereum has had. You've got QuickSwap and Polygon, a few others that are building using the MATIC layer 2 solution. There's a lot of foreseeable future growth in these ecosystems, right? So we want to always be a little careful here. And again, we've gone over this, is that one of the things that could be confusing in a reaccumulation range like this is that when we're going through, we've got our primary support, our buying climax, or shakeout, our spring, this moment into the SOS can often be just an upthrust. So here, there's a large amount of supply that came into the market to get this price movement upwards. For now, we're going to assume it's a sign of strength because we are still in the middle of this bull market effectively. Let's say 14/19ths the way through. So currently, I do believe that this is an SOS, which could bring us higher. Now, one of the things I wanted to go over was the price target potential. So one of the things we like to do is when we know we're about halfway through the bull market, we can generally do a kind of a forecast of the finality based off our longer trading ranges, right? So the market cycle is usually created or idealized in 3 cycles. You have first your accumulation cycle, which is when everything's at a low. You have a reaccumulation cycle, which is what this area just was. And then you have another markup, and then you go into distribution. And then usually distribution comes all the way down and then forms another reaccumulation cycle just below the previous reaccumulation range, shaking out all the retail investors and weak hands that might be along the way. So what we do here is we use this Fibonacci extension tool to kind of look at some of the price targets that we have in mind now that we have this larger reaccumulation pattern take place. And because we're midway through the bull cycle, this is where things get kind of face melty and you see a lot of consistent day over day growth. And it looks like the prices almost don't come down. I mean, Ethereum is a great example of that, where the price has gone up like 85% in a very short period of time. And keeping that in mind is that it looks like it just goes up. Like the last part of the market cycle looks like it just goes up. So we usually get extensions really easily into the 2618, which would put us at $1.50, and the 4236 maybe here with MATIC as well, because we had such a long accumulation cycle around the $2.40 mark. So I don't try to predict the market cycle ends, but these are usually pretty clear extensions in places to reduce the risk of our playing. We've had our long-term accumulation. If you go to arcanebear.com/club, or if you've been a part of the private group, you know that we've had this in here for the last few years. So I'm looking for these price targets around $2.40. Now, the next thing I wanted to go over here is actually MATIC's balance percent exchange stacked. So we use Glassnode here quite frequently to look at how much supply there is on the open market. And what's interesting is you can see as we zoom in here that since February, which is basically the finality of our widening megaphone pattern, you see a massive decrease of MATIC on the open market. And this is probably from a number of things. A, holders themselves, and B, MATIC being used in its liquidity on the L2 chains effectively. So we're in a consistently decreasing amount of MATIC. We went from, let's say, what is this here? Is this all? Oh, no, we want balance percent. There we go. Here we go. This is going to be a little bit clear vision. So we went from 26% of all MATIC on exchanges, dropping within just a month or two to only 3% of MATIC on all exchanges. So right now, the price of MATIC can be extraordinarily volatile. Think about that. We've dropped 22% down to only 3% of MATIC is left on the open exchanges. So when we talk about volatility, it's going to become extraordinary here. And as you can see, since approximately March 13th, which is this date here, we saw this first big move up. And again, so this little, the finality of the SOS, which we saw here, or not the finality, but the start of the SOS out of that longer term accumulation range started right as MATIC started to leave the exchanges. So it's really nice to do these kind of deeper fundamental analysis on the amount of supply that's on the open markets and understanding the value proposition here. You can see how little supply there was throughout the entirety of this reaccumulation range, and then just this massive run up in supply signature here as well. So that pretty easily puts us somewhere between 150 to 250. And again, these bull markets can become extraordinary. So I'm not a huge fan of, like, I don't sell everything. What I do is I take off my general operating capital and leave everything ride, because there's an extraordinary amount of potential in all of these. They're basically all asymmetric bets. And the best way to think of this is heads I win, tails I only lose a little. So if you happen to have been following the Arcane Bear since last year, or even, let's say, even sooner, you are looking at over 100x potential in less than 140 days, which is absolutely amazing. That means for every $1,000 you put in there, you're basically sitting on $100,000. So we've had extraordinary gains for MATIC, game changers for a lot of the private members. And remember, guys, the disease of the early stage investor and new trader is by over-emotional investing, moving in and out of positions too quickly, and really not understanding the long-term thesis that's capable when you understand how market cycles work. So if you like trying new things, go to www.arcanebear.com/private and sign up for the Arcane Bear private group, where we have been going over this stuff for the last 2 years. And remember, there's no risk there, because if you're not happy, we'll give you a refund. We've only had a few people who've ever asked for a refund. And now that we see MATIC over $1 since our original entries back here at less, like close to 10 cents to a penny for some of them, the extraordinary long-term value of sticking around and your continuing ability to show up pays off in aces. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. Remember to please follow us on these social media channels down below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you are already on. If you didn't know, you are on YouTube right now. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those fun things. We do produce content on all of the channels. And thank you for joining us today. Give us a thumbs up. Give us 2 thumbs up. Give us all thumbs up. And we'll see you guys again on the next episode.